Good morning, jokers.
Good morning, America. Good morning, world. Good morning, Chanda. Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Amos. And good morning, also in the background. Well, what a week it was, right? We just talked about this in the green room. It was a week which could easily have filled a year. And, well, so much happened. And, well, as usually, I would like to start the show by asking the panel how they are. And I would like to start with Chanda. How are you doing?
Well, survived another week of 2020. Like I said, I can't see across my street because we have so much, we're inundated with smoke in Western Washington from the California wildfires. I've been reporting a lot this week. California is burning to the ground. Just hanging in there. I hope everybody's doing well.
Yeah. Amos, how are you doing in New Jersey?
Same thing, surviving. I'm really happy to see Pat joining us today.
Yeah, and the same question goes to our guest today. And I'm very happy that we have him for a special topic today. And Pat, how are you doing in the first place?
No complaints compared to most people. I'm cooped up just like all of us. So every day seems like yesterday, and last week and the month before, no difference. Yeah. But great to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm also in California, but luckily not very close to these burning fires. So.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, we know that John is quite near to this, and Oz just told us that he is near enough, that he could easily smell the smoke. And I hope he cannot see the fires anymore. That's not so near anymore. And from here, good luck and all the best to John and Laura, up on their hill.
Up on their hill.
Well, before we go to the first segment, we gotta quickly talk about the last week. We saw crazy stuff going on. We saw absolutely strange kind of debate, train wreck, car accident, whatever you want to call it. Then you got your president infected with corona, or, well, you can also put it in another place, maybe, You can also say now that the virus is infected by Trump, it raises two questions, First question would be, is the virus now getting dumber or even more aggressive, And I think the scientists or the doctors at the hospital where he is right now will have a good eye on this, And, well. We're coming to our first topic today, and this is, we are looking back at 1992, and we are looking back at a big scandal which happened at Saturday Night Live. In this show was Sinead O'Connor, the prominent guest, and she was supposed to perform a Bob Marley song, War, and well, she did this, but she changed a little bit of the lyrics, and at the end of the song, she did the following thing. And please run the video.
Oh, you got blocked.
Within 2 days. Okay. Anyway, so I got to describe the scene. She was ending the song and she was taking out a photo of the Pope of that time, which was John Paul II. And she held it up and she tore it into pieces and she threw it away. And she ended with the following words, "Fight the real enemy." And this was a big scandal at that time. And, well, she got more or less a persona non grata. Madonna had her comment on her, which was not that positive. She said there are other ways, to confront people with problems by not hurting the feelings of the people, who love the Pope. And also Joe Pesci appeared in another show, and he was also condemning her for this actions. And well, and now comes we are now 1 year later, and 1 year later, okay, first I gotta explain why she did it. She addresses the child abuse which was in the Irish church, or in their in their surrounding, like orphanages, etc. And she herself was abused when she was very young. I think she was about 17 or so. She was in such an institution, and she witnessed firsthand what was going on there. And this is why she addressed this. And we are now in 1993, 1 year later, which on such an entity, there were a mass grave found, and well, this was a big scandal and raised also the interest of the United Nations, which which followed this case, and it was the first sign of what is going on in the Catholic Church, what child abuse concerns, and in the end, it came very clear in the year 2000 when the whole scandal popped out, not only in Ireland, but also, as you know it, also in America and the US. And well, at that point, it was absolutely clear that that Sinead O'Connor in 1992 was already right in her critique. Maybe it was a little bit strange, but it was her way to address this problem, And after she experienced so many humiliations from these actions, and she was touring, I think, 1 year later with Bob Dylan, and she was booed off stage, and it was not possible to go on with the tour. And well, she took a lot beating for this action, but in the end, it turned out that she was absolutely right. And well, this happened in 1992 today. Do you, Chandler? Do you have your own experiences with Sinead O'Connor, or what did she meant for you?
Well, I know this is going to be a shock to you guys, but I was a little bit of a rebel in my teen years. So I really respected what Sinead had done. I mean, I think there was a lot of rumblings around Catholics about this happening. I mean, we all grew up with those kids that talked about it. And she was such a rebel to go out there and do that and to take that kind of hate on. I actually had the same exact haircut at the same exact time, which was crazy because I was, a cheerleader, and it caused so much upheaval when I did that. When I went and shaved my head, people couldn't understand, but I was standing in solidarity with her. And she's been plagued with mental illness, because of the hate for most of her adult life. She's dealt with depression and suicidal thoughts, and I always just admired her for her strength and courage, and I still do.
Yeah. I don't know if Pat, do you remember Sinead O'Connor? Do you know the scandal?
Oh yeah, definitely. And to me, it reminds me a lot of the Kaepernick situation. I mean, being civil and playing along doesn't bring any issue to the forefront ever. So that shock factor is needed. And you look at where the public has come with the Catholic Church and how they perceive all that happened. It's what, 30 years later it took to get us there. Same thing with Kaepernick and Black Lives Matter. I mean, he paid a heavy cost in the same way she did. And, people made the same argument with Kaepernick that he shouldn't express himself in that manner. But without all that attention that shocking, thing brought to everyone's forefront, nothing changes. There's no attention drawn to just a person grabbing a microphone and saying, "Let me talk about Black Lives Matter."
Right.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Yeah, a shock is sometimes needed, to address the audience to something. Amos, what do you think? Are you muted? Amos, you're muted. Okay, cannot hear us.
He doesn't have his earbuds in?
I don't know. Amos, if you can hear me, you're muted. We cannot hear you.
I'm sorry.
No.
And particularly, I was not a Sinead person, but in Israel as well, it wasn't. Catholicism is not such an issue, so it really kind of was lost on me.
Yeah, at that time you were in Israel, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Please show us the last slide, so we can get an impression what else did happen today, a couple of years ago. This should be this is one. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yes, October the 3rd in 1995, O.J. Simpson acquitted. So everything was cool with him. The father of Arlo Guthrie died in 1967. President Lincoln proclaims official Thanksgiving holiday. Iraq wins the independence from the British. And today we also have a bank holiday here in Germany. We are celebrating our reunification with the former East German part. And, yeah. And in 1942, we had our first successful V2 rocket test, and this all went later to the US. The rocket scientists were hired there. Anyway, so we are going over to our next sequence, and here we are in the actual news. We are talking about Corona versus Trump. And we can see him here, thumbs up, everything is cool. No, nothing is cool. Your president is infected with coronavirus, and what can we say? It looks like he will spend the next. It looked that he would spend the next days together with his wife in the White House, in quarantine. Together, which I think, as he shouted this out loud, is meant as a threat to millennia, maybe. I don't know. This is already old because we learned that he was taken to hospital, and some sources say that that he has only mild symptoms. Others say that it is already a little bit more serious, and we will see where it leads. And in the worst case, we can show the next slide before we see who is surrounding him. And it started, I think, the estimations are that it started with Hope Hicks and then went through the whole team of Trump, more or less. And, Steve Miller is not infected. I say this, and what would happen when Trump is not able to go on in office anymore? Then we have two options. Options number 2 would be that we have his vice president taking over, Mike Pence. If you can show the next slide. Which I think would not bring
he's too close to me.
enthusiasm to all. There he is sitting, and yes, accidentally he is sitting next to Nancy Pelosi, which indeed would be the number 3 in case Mike Pence would also get infected. He's still tested negative, and I'm telling this without any emotions. I would not send any getting well wishes to Trump, nor I would like to make fun of it personally. I only would like to say something that it is that what's going on, if you see who is all going on and wishing him a speedy recovery, etc. There you have Joe Biden, you have Nancy Pelosi, and we know this is only hypocrisy, because let's be honest, they give a shit about Trump if he dies or if he's alive, none of them, and even worse, they even give a shit about your well-being. Otherwise, you would have a healthcare system, a working healthcare system, etc. Right? So forget about all this crap, And I gotta admit honestly, I'm not a saint, When at Friday morning, when I woke up and I saw the message that Trump was infected, I had a smile in my face, I have to confess this, I said, if anyone had deserved this, and then him, And I'm honest with that, and I know it might be shocking, but this is how I feel, because I think he already has too many lives caused, and now we will see how he will manage this problem. Going over to the, I'm sorry, I don't want to skip you guys. Chanda, what are your thoughts? What was your first thought when you heard the news?
Well, it's all just political theater, and I just got to say something about it, and that is something. That's all I can say about it. There is, it is what it is. We'll watch it play out. But I really am excited to hear what Pat has to say about this. What do you think, Pat?
Okay. Pat is next, please.
Well, I'm a big fan of coronavirus all of a sudden this week. Huge fan. I think half of America is rooting for, I wouldn't want to say Trump's death, but there's definitely some. But, if there's one person that becoming gravely ill from coronavirus could teach the country something, it's him and his circle. The people that think coronavirus is a hoax, there's some possibility that they see these leaders that have told them this is nothing to worry about. Maybe it registers with a few of them. So I'm rooting for reality to set in for, maybe it's only a handful of people this will affect, but it's better than nothing. We got half the country that thinks this is nothing to worry about still, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And of Amos, what is your take?
Well, I think it's required that people do extend some personal kind of approach to people, even if they're on the opposite side of the political spectrum. And with that said, I wanted to say that our thoughts and prayers are with the virus. But the thing is, it's unfortunate that we're in a climate today that could not have been imagined a few years ago, where there's so much hatred on both sides that people actually feel giddy about the president getting seriously sick, and that is entirely of his own doing by keeping poking the irons and inflaming those flames throughout these last years and causing the division and split.
Yeah. Well, what can we say? I told you how I felt about it. You told how you felt about it, and I think more or less we agree. Of that. Well, it hit the right one, and I checked the internet, in how far this inspired cartoonists, and guys, I found a lot, and. If Oz is ready in the background, then we can go through the cartoon slides starting at 18, please. This is our opening cartoon for today's card. There we see the China virus. Finally, he can set up a flag on Trump's head. Mission completed, right?
Sometimes you just got to take what you want, right? Isn't that what Trump said?
Yeah, and there you see, this is what Amos found lately. This is, he's now getting his cure in the hospital. I don't know what product was it, Amos. What was it?
Clorox is a very wide used bleach in the
Clorox.
US.
Okay. We got different products. Okay. All right. Next one. Yeah, who needs the WHO when you got ME, when you got me, right? And it's remarkable that his tiny hands still won't grow.
Johnny Tiny Hands.
Yeah. Please feel free to comment also, while Oz is running them too. This is also nice, I think. This is one of my favorites. Yeah.
You are here.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Yeah. I've just contracted Donald Trump. Yeah. It must be the complete Halloween horror for the virus right now.
Guy.
Yeah. Keep America COVID.
Oh, Pence, man, that's a scary thought.
Yeah. And there we have confused virus, who doesn't know what's happening to him.
This one sums it all up. That's it right there. That does it.
Yeah. And I, especially in this, I like, look at the face expression. Doesn't he look like Leonid Brezhnev from the Soviet Union once?
Either that or Boris Johnson.
No. Yeah, this is very nice, because, he is now, he is caught now. He's caught by the corona virus, he's jailed. Yeah, and this is also, when you have to take the consequences. Yeah. This is the COVID award. I like the elegance in this one. Yeah.
Sperm.
Yeah.
I thought they would have a field trip.
And this one is also very nice because it puts, I think this one puts the week together in one picture, You saw the Proud Boys on Tuesday, and now you can take all this crap as your mask. Yeah. Well, and at this point, I would like to start to get into details with Pat, and this is what I experienced not only in the past month. For me, it happened already 1 or 1.5 years ago, in which I found out that I could not laugh anymore about the jokes coming from John Oliver, from Colbert, from all the others, because they're. It was not funny anymore because it was the same old, and if I think what they tried, if you try to parody a parody, then I think it is getting lame very quickly, and I think it must be very, very difficult now today for people who do satire, to find the right button, to get into it, what it really means to do satire and not to be flat, and doing same old stuff, And at this point, I would like to ask Pat, yes, in how far it is getting more and more difficult to do satire for you?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, I think most of the time with satire, you're trying to take things to the ridiculous level to make a point with people. And when you're starting at that ridiculous level as a baseline, the only place you can usually go is to something more offensive. So then you have to walk that delicate line of making your point without, marginalizing groups or, so if you want to amplify racism to make a point about racism, you have to be very careful about not being perceived as racist and whatnot. So yeah, and I definitely agree that, in some ways, like even for myself, I was busy writing a book, but I also, I gained a following on Twitter for my parody account, and I found that I couldn't do both. I couldn't tweet every day about parody and write the book. It was just too taxing emotionally in a way, because I didn't want to laugh about things that I was trying to make people laugh about. So even as a satire parody writer, I experienced that same issue with just, sometimes things are just not funny to laugh about. And I think we all have a little fatigue after 6 years, 3 years of Trump. And the level of ridiculous things have gotten to. But I also think there's a lot of value in satire as a way to, in the same way Sinead ripped up the newspaper in the photo, satire kind of does the same thing. So it has a lot of value and it's important. It reaches people in a way that straight news never will. And it kind of slaps you in the face. And we all need a slap in the face sometimes. And comedy can do that. So, I made sure and finished the book, but I couldn't tweet every day. I couldn't tweet 10 times a day jokes about how ridiculous Trump was. I just didn't have it in me. So
yeah. And this is exactly the problem, because if you look, because every part of your life, has somehow to do with Trump. Meanwhile, so it is very, very difficult to avoid to make fun of Trump, and this is why. From what I sense, many of those comedians, are sticking in this trap, because they, in parts, they are not able to look through this. That maybe there are different ways, to point at a problem in a satirical way by not addressing the cause of the problem, and maybe. What do you think? Should satire in the US be more aggressive, or what do you think? Where should be what should be the solution? To get more power, to get more powerful messages.
Well, I mean, I think the messaging behind most of the satire now is what's made it more tedious. I mean, it doesn't ever get to the core issues. It doesn't get to why we are here. So it's just Trump bad, Trump racist, the stuff that we've heard the same messaging for 3 years. So it never addresses, underlying what's the problem with Democrats. It's real simplified. And I think that adds to the fatigue factor of getting that same messaging every day from satire. When Colbert and Stewart first popped on the scene, there was nothing out there like them hitting the media every day. And it was really, it was unique and people loved it. But it's gotten very repetitious in a sense and formulaic. And the formula is Trump bad, Democrats good, Trump racist,
Very corporate.
Most of that is true, but yeah, it has a corporate spin to it. And I think, anyone left of corporate centrist Democrats is really tired of the one-way attacks in a sense.
Yeah. Chanda, you want to like to add something?
Yeah, every day I'm out there scouring YouTube and Twitter looking for videos. I love satire. It is my favorite comic genre. I adore things like Family Guy and American Dad, because they use a lot of satire to kind of call things out to the forefront. But Pat, you're absolutely right. I struggle every day with this corporate media wall that I run into. That is Colbert and, all of what we used to enjoy 10 years ago, for calling these out. And I struggle to find stuff that is actually making fun of the left or the right. I mean, if I go to the right, then they're making fun of the left, but we make fun of the left too. So then, why are you supporting Russian or a Republican narrative, you Russian bot, that type of thing. And then to the left, all it is Trump bad. So I struggle with that every day. And so I so appreciate that there is people on the left actually bringing forward our view, our stance, our comic look at it. So thank you so much. And almost, I got to say, I'm proud of you. You brought some comedy the last couple of times I hung out with you.
Okay, Amos, what do you got?
Well, I basically, I don't know. I think on the whole, if I look at the satire map, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, but people on the right aren't as funny as people on the left. I'm just not sure why, but they've tried doing programs like Colbert, imitating that thing, and it just does not work. And I'm also very sympathetic to all satirists in the last 4 years, because I don't think you can outdo the craziness and absurdness that we've been seeing. So,
yeah. Maybe to avoid, to get stuck into persons, which is in America much more in front than, for example, in Europe, where we have parties mostly. Well, maybe satire should more put a spotlight on the situation which makes all this possible, which makes the system possible, which makes the two-party system possible, and then maybe you would see who would be left standing in the spotlight, who those people are, and maybe it would be a better way, to draw the criticism, or better said, the satirism away from those people who are standing in the spotlight anyway, who are used to this, but maybe put people in the spotlight who wouldn't like this, and well,
I have a question, Marcus.
Yeah, please ask.
Yeah. If satire is supposed to mimic reality in order to be functional, to be successful, then how can satire, and I throw this in the eye of the left that you complimented being so funny, how can satire really achieve its goal when they're satirizing propaganda? And we know it. And I'll point out to you the Russiagate horseshit, where everybody of a mind really honestly knows that's bullshit. We knew it was from the beginning. And how can they just walk away and leave Julian Assange out in the ocean there, drowning, tortured to death? Because the satire in that respect would be how the mainstream media is failing him and the rest of the world. So that's my question. When it's propaganda, isn't that going to be the end of actual satire?
Okay, I would like to give Pat.
I can only speak from my own experience. What I did in my book, in particular, because my book is it's a fictional resistant event speaking tour kind of thing. So if you read what happens, the plot of my book is almost 100% actual things that happen. So I just pulled straight reality into it and then infused it with small subplot of dialogue that made it interesting and funny. But if you read all the ridiculous things that happen in the book, they're all straight from reality. And I think giving an explanation to people using satire and comedy maybe comedy more than satire in this case is a way to make them see real events that happen, and that in itself is ridiculous. So that's what I did.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I would like to raise another question. Must satire necessarily be funny? Or what are the limits of satire? Because I would like to show a tweet. If you can show a tweet, slide number 40, Oz. And there we can see a cartoonist. It was Michael the Adder. And he was fired for doing this one. If you remember, I think it was last year, where his father and his little baby daughter drowned. And this was the take of the cartoonist, and he said, "Do you mind if I play through?" He was fired for this because the public outrage was overwhelming. And I think, in my personal opinion, this satire hit the nail, because it showed exactly what was going on at that time. And I think it's very hypocritical, that those who employed Michael the Adder caved in and didn't stand at his side, because, as I said, it described the situation at that time. You had a leader, you had a president, who did not feel any empathy for refugees. He did not care. He did not care if they are alive or dead. Only thing which is important for him is to do his golf. And up to the point. What do you guys think? What do you think, Pat? Is it over the top, or what do you think?
No, I think it goes back to what we were talking about, where the real situation is so absurd and ridiculous and hard to believe that to parody it, and you're going to take some risks, and you have to stretch it a little bit to make the point about how absurd it is. So that's all this artist did. And the consequence is sometimes people are going to take that and be offended by it. But if you're offended by satire and parody, that's your own situation for the most part. I mean, there's going to be a line that can be crossed for everyone. but I don't think you should punish comedians and artists and people for crossing that line. Occasionally, it's a sign that they're on the tip of perfection. Really, I mean, some people are going to have to be offended by your work.
So then I have to ask, what about Kathy Griffin when she cut Donald Trump's fake head off and was holding it? You know, that was a line, man. People lost their shit, and she's been fighting to come back ever since. Do you think that was too far?
It was too far to be funny for me, but I don't think it was too far for her to be
for comedy
to be canceled by networks and things like that. I mean, if people don't find her funny and they didn't enjoy it, and that means she shouldn't come back, great. But as a rule, no. It's comedy in theory.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not defending her. I find her a dumbass elite, but you know.
No, I'm on the same page with you entirely on this. Yeah.
I think the difference, what she did to this cartoon was this cartoon drove the spotlight on a problem, you know, and she only was posing with his head in her hand without any message, you know, and this was completely missing. And this, in my opinion, is not satire anymore, you know, because it is just blaming someone without explaining for what, you know, and this is not what I like too. In Germany, the situation is we have for decades in the past we had discussion about what is allowed to satire. Because we had this case, we had the German writer and journalist Kurt Tucholsky at that time here in Germany. He lived in the last century, and there is one famous quote of him in which he says, "Satire may everything, you know. So everything is allowed for satire, you know. This is only apart from the line," he said, you know. He said it also satire also unmasks, you know, if those who are criticizing a thing, you know, do this hypocritically, you know. And the thing is, the great dispute here in Germany was when there came up the quote, you know, every soldier is a murderer. And by quoting this one, you could get charged by the authorities for using this quote, you know. And there was a big dispute here over decades, and it is still not decided in how far this quote does hurt society, because also our military is hurt by this. You know, this is a general suspect, you know, putting on every soldier, you know, but potentially every soldier is a murderer in the view of Kurt Tucholsky. You know, this was a great discussion here. It was never solved, you know, to say it. Well, this was in this part quite interesting. We will see what the future inside of satire, especially in America, will bring. I found an article which was very interesting, in which writers were asked how they feel in those times. And there is one writer, Will Stephen, he says, I feel angry or sometimes depressed more than I do than I do ready to write or make a joke, you know. And he goes on later in the next slide. He feels the same, you know, when he watches TV and watches the sketches. They just play a clip of a president and they're like, can you believe it? And it's like, we're 3 years in it. I can't believe it, because it is, meanwhile, it is a snafu system in America, you know. Situation normal, all fucked up. You get used to the daily chaos, you know. Nearly 4 years of Trump left its traces, you know, because imagine if you look back, for example, at the beginning of the Trump term. Look at the Saturday Night Live. It was celebrated, you know. Alec Baldwin was great, you know, and everyone who was there and made a parody of those people around Trump, it was great. And now it is too normal to even lose a word about this, you know. And this is why it is sensed that what is normal, you know, even though a couple of years ago it would be completely horrific for everyone. And this is also a danger, you know, that people are getting used to this mess. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, Trump fatigue is a real thing for anyone that's not a supporter. We've just had enough of it. And I can empathize a lot with those writers that just don't want to tell a joke at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
But you're right. In, you know, when satire and comedy focuses more on the real obvious target, it's funnier. I mean, satire should be revealing. Comedy should be revealing. And there's not a lot to reveal about Trump himself anymore. And that's where some of the luster has gone with a lot of it, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're right. I think of the last slide only repeats what we already talked about. I would like now to talk a little bit about the new book of Pat, the Yes Queen Chronicles. As I'm here in Europe, in Germany, I still don't have it, and I'm curious. Please tell me a little bit more about the book.
Yeah, so it's a fictional forum. It's basically one of these events where people with a lot of money go to see their neoliberal heroes. It's hosted by a few MSNBC people. Let's see, Joanne Greed. Who else is it? Soledad Lion and Chris Badviews. So those are the hosts. The panelists are Nancy Pegosi, Alyssa Shalano, Nira Tantrum, Jennifer Poubin, Tom Perez, James Scarville, and the only protagonist in the story, Nina Berner.
Yeah. And you did this together with Joy Marie Mann, who we hopefully have next week on our show. And how was it to work together, and how far, who did what? And did you collect thoughts and said, we are mixing all our thoughts together? And how can I imagine you're working?
Right. Our process, we basically broke the book into different topics we wanted to talk about. So the concept of the book is it's a forum. So you've got these questions delivered by the speakers to the panelists, and they debate the issues. So it was easy to break it down into issues. And then we hit the points we wanted to talk about within each of those, and then sort of wrote it together, and then edited via screen sharing. And so it was really collaborative from start to finish. Interesting process. I mean, it was weird as a writer to have someone else be able to tell you went too far or not far enough, and finding that line between what's offensive to me and what's offensive to you. I think was useful because we're trying to reach as many people as we can. So, you know, the problem is both of us are basically unoffendable. So
I was going to say, do I have the line?
Yeah, we had to mostly say, I think my mom wouldn't like that joke, or, you know.
So what do you think? Was it easier to do the first book all alone, or is it easier with someone together, you know, that you get direct feedback?
You know, they were just so different. The first book was bringing up all the things that were unaddressed with the Democratic Party. And then this time around, it was rehashing that these things are still unaddressed in new ways. The benefit to working together was we both were very active the entire, you know, political campaign and have been for years, following all this stuff. So we easily went to our memory for all the situations we'd want to bring up when we talk about Russia, or when we talk about, you know, Nancy Pelosi and Pego, for example. It was really a fast process to figure out what kind of issues we needed to bring up. So that was great for that.
Yeah. And what I saw, you know, on your website, I saw that the critiques are absolutely fantastic. You know, there's only one negative: not enough pictures, coming from Graham Elwood. I think it's not that seriously. Well, you had Mike Figueredo is likes it, Ron Placone, and Katie Jane Earl, a musician. I personally don't know. Well, and do you have already plans for your next project, or do you say, okay, enough for now, and now I wait a couple of months and see what the election will give, or do you have already something in mind which you would like to start through?
Yeah, we Joy and I were talking about the project. I don't know if we'll end up doing it together or not, but we kind of wanted to get a behind the scenes of a donor fundraiser event. I thought that might be an interesting way to highlight some of the truth within the Democratic Party of what's going on. So I don't know that anybody has done anything like that. And I think
that's smart. That
might be interesting.
That's good.
Yeah.
Try to get George Clooney in it, remember. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Pat, for so far. And I already, we cannot play it, unfortunately, because I cannot link it. I also saw that you got an interview with Nina Turner for this, and she also was very, very thrilled, and she was very, very entertained by the book. And too bad. I would like to run it, but I can't. And
I appreciate that. She was the first person to actually read the entire book, and she had us on the show a few weeks ago. It should air anytime soon.
It's really not out yet. Okay.
Really looking forward to the full interview. I've got the audio from it, but she really liked the book. I don't want to give it away, but she's basically the only hero in the book among a sea of neoliberal shitlibs. So
yeah.
She enjoyed her role.
Yeah, she's the only name which comes into my mind when I think about the progressive future. And it is good to know that she's on our side, and she knows us on her side, Okay. We are going over now. Thank you very much for so far, Pat. I hope you will rejoin us at one of our later shows, And we are going over now to a serious topic. It is about the mass die. It's a mass die update regarding what's going on in the animal world. Amos, please.
Right. Well, just a couple of updates, quick updates. We had the segment on each of these. There's the elephant death in Botswana. There was a massive elephant death case, and they finally determined what the reason was, and it was a bacteriological infection of something called hemorrhagic septicemia. So it's basically they determined that that was what was going on, and it highlighted the point that due to global climate change, a lot of the patterns are changing, and a lot of the water availability is affected, and so there's bacterial outbreaks that can use that kind of these unexpected changes and cause havoc, and that's in general over more species, not just elephants or just birds or whatever. It's across the board, and that's really frightening, because it's not the climate crisis is one of the main drivers of the next global mass extinction, which we're seeing in the process. And there's this article linked in the comments that discusses the mass extinction. There was another case with the birds recently, where birds dropped dead in the middle of the Southwest. And people didn't know why, but they did a little research. They concluded that what was going on is that the temperature change is like abrupt temperature change that was caused again by climate, but by climate crisis. And there was a layer of snow which prevented the birds from eating properly, and then there was a drop of temperatures between 60 and 55 degrees, which increased the bird metabolism. They just simply did not have the ability to eat enough to overcome that, and they just died of the exhaustion. So you could see how all these chain reactions happen in ways that we have to then take a magnifying glass and research because it's not so obvious.
So sad.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yep. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we're seeing it everywhere. I know we're seeing whales. I saw a report last night of a humpback whale that had died in the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and then of course in Australia we had over 300 whales beach themselves and die this last week. So it's heartbreaking watching the 6 mass extinction.
Yeah.
They don't know yet. From what I don't think they've discovered yet why the whales have gotten.
I suspect it's something to do with their sonar. You know, we have that magnetic warfare training that happens up here on the Olympic Peninsula. And we saw a lot of mass beachings, and studies show that, you know, they communicate with sonars. So then our sonar weaponry just sends them literally crazy. They don't know which direction they're going. That's why they beach themselves. So I suspect it's probably something military that we're doing that caused it.
And if you look at the report, let me see who was interviewed there. Gerardo Ceballos asked for the reasons what caused those mass extinctions. He said, in the first place, it's the human population. It is the use of faulty technologies like fossil fuels, and also our consumption system, that we are consuming too much. And well, you can imagine, what do you think, how high are the chances that we would leave all this behind us, you know, in order to help to keep our nature balanced? Zero. Because we would give everything up what our system means, right? We could not go on with the capitalistic system because it is based on consume, you know. We would have get rid of fossil fuels usage, and we have to get a take on human population. Okay, which scientific reports say is dropping, or is for the future is supposed to be dropping. You know, at least not rising. You know, but all this, would nullify our way of life if we would seriously do this in order to help. So, what do you think? How will we do this as a species?
Well, I mean, just speaking, you know, for the U.S., you have neither party against fracking, really. I mean, you know, you can't. If the Democratic Party is supposed to be the heroic party fighting for us, they're not fighting to save the planet. You know, you could say that they're for the Green New Deal in theory and working towards it, and they believe in science and whatnot. But if you still allow fracking, you're not listening to the scientists.
Yeah, their donors tell them not to support that bill or get on board with that legislation. You know, in theory and in talk, they're always fighting for the environment, but in action, they never are.
Well, Amos, do you want to add something, or?
No, I agree with all what you guys said.
Okay.
I have a question, Marcus.
Please.
Yeah. You were talking about the oceans. Shanda brought up the whales. It's 350 whales, according to what I got. Isn't it too far gone after all the garbage and radiation and pesticides that we've thrown in the ocean to really, we can change the paradigm, but you all feel like I do, maybe it's going to get a hell of a lot worse before we even get close to getting better. Do you feel that way, all of you? It's not like we can't give up and say, what the hell, let's just keep doing it. But that's the general feeling. And I just don't know. Unless we, Marcus, you asked if we're willing to give up our way of life. Well, if we don't give up our way of life now, we're not going to have a life in 10, 15 years, right?
Yeah, but we got time for 10, 15 years, and within 10, 15 years, somebody will have the great idea how to solve our problem. You know, the inventions will be so far that, like magic, it will all disappear. Our problems. We got 10 to 15 years time.
Oh, satire is alive and well in Germany. Okay,
Capitalism's going to save us.
Capitalism is going to say. I have to give a shout out. I did in the green room. Jimmy Dore had Max Blumenthal on yesterday. Please watch that cut when it comes up.
Okay.
Because they talk about the greenwashing, and that's what it is. They're not going to do anything at this point unless they can make money off of it. The Green New Deal is just words. So anyway, thanks for letting me chime.
Yeah, no problem. All right, Amos, let's go over to the next uneasy topic. You know, we are talking about white supremacy, and I would like to start with the video, if you don't mind.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared
willing
to
do
specifically
that, but
do it? Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it. Do you want to call him? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
Who would
white
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing.
FBI director
This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacists. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got to be
not
kidding.
militia. That's what his FBI, FBI director
Gentlemen,
said.
Well,
All right, Amos.
Yeah, well, that was a shocking. If there was any thing shocking about that debate, that was the moment. It was just fortifying any fears we've had about him, and he's put it right out there. He said, "Stand back and stand by," and no matter of back talking afterwards changes the fact that he's expecting them to play a role down the line in some violent activity. There's just no seeing it any other way, and it's disturbing. Since then, the Proud Boys have recruited more people, and they used it. They very proudly announced it on their Twitter feeds and whatever they have, and repeated the phrase.
Yeah, they were selling T-shirts like an hour later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
of course.
Stand by.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I think we have an actual picture of Trump denouncing the white supremacists there, and there we go.
Yeah.
That's about right.
So it would be funny, but it's really frightening that this guy has been given so many opportunities to denounce white supremacy, and he's always pretended to be dumb, and everybody knows he's not. If he was that clueless about the power, the Proud Boys or any of these other groups, he would be the most clueless person in the United States. And he may be dumb, but he's not clueless. He knows who those people are.
Yeah, he does it on purpose.
He pretends. Yeah.
I mean, the debate, the debate was absolutely according Trump's playbook, in my opinion. And if you want so, and from this part, because it was working out regarding his playbook, I see Trump, as stupid as it may sound, I see him as the winner of the debate, because nobody could handle him. No. Biden was most of the times completely in the defensive. He was looking down. He was only showing his teeth, and he had some bright moments. I won't take that from him. But honestly, we know Trump. We know how he is acting, and I was expecting to be him like he was on Tuesday. I expected exactly this, and it is Trump did not want to look for a minority which is still undecided. I think most people are know how they vote for months, if not for years, especially with him in office. It is not about those who were undecided, and it is not about what was said in this debate or in general. It was the people who were watching this wanted to see someone who can play this part.
He's a showman. It was a show.
Exactly. He knew exactly what he was doing there, and everything he was doing was only to put fuel into the emotions of his voter base, because he knows he cannot win the elections on a legal way. So he will do everything, to steer the situation up. And from this point of view, he was clearly the winner of the debate.
Right. And it's scary, especially most of I live in a very redneck town, and all he has done is incite and embolden these people. I hate leaving my house. I encounter some bullshit hate every time I leave my house. Just yesterday, I drove through the taco time, and there's some Trump supporters screaming at the window at the fast food worker about him messing up his food intentionally. And so it doesn't matter where I go. I can go to the gas station. There's always some asshole with his Trump flag and his big truck revving it, thinking that he is in power now because of Trump. And we've dealt with this for 3 years. As much as I hate Trump, or the left and Biden, I would love to see that go away. Having to deal with these people, he's incited the dumbest people in the country and empowered them, and they think there's something special now, and it's terrible to deal with. It just is.
Yeah, and Trump knows exactly. Sorry, Amos.
No, I agree. I agree with your standpoint that Trump has really kind of gravitated towards that spectrum of appealing only to the most extreme and to his base, and it's that's what it does. And perhaps we're accustomed to people trying to win elections by getting a majority of the vote. Trump at this point, I don't think, is hoping to get a majority of the vote. Is hoping to get galvanized enough extreme support base that is large enough to overwhelm a democratic system that will create the result at the end of these elections, and to try and overrule that result.
And who will cave in? Do you think the Republicans would cave in?
I don't think anybody will cave in, but that's
Remember what happened in Florida when it was Al Biden against George W. Bush. The one
I don't think that's going to happen again.
You think so?
No, I don't think it's going to happen again. The country is at the state where nobody would accept that.
Hillary has told them not to concede and to fight, so maybe they will fight it out and not give like Gore did. Gore didn't have to give up that fight. We could have fought on in 2000, but we did.
The only party over the years which I follow politics in America, there's only one party with balls. And that's a Republican Party. We'll see. It will be interesting.
Well, the problem I see is what you mentioned earlier, is that the debate appealed to Trump supporters, and from the right's perspective, it was a good night. No matter what we think about it, no matter what independents think about it, Trump spent the entire night appealing to his base. Now, Biden, on the other hand, spent the entire night telling half of his base he didn't support things that they support. He's not for Medicare for all. He's not really for, a legitimate Green Deal. He's not for defunding the police. He's tough on crime. So, this election might be a little unprecedented in the sense that we're voting largely by mail. So, how that affects the vote tally in the end is undetermined right now. But voter enthusiasm is what Trump is banking on. He's trying to win from enthusiasm and getting his folks out to the polls, not converting any new people. And Biden didn't convert any new people. You either hate Trump and want him gone, or you don't. But you don't love Biden anymore from that last debate.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. You're right. Okay, guys. Yeah. We are nearly through. We only got one segment left. As usual, the good news. I'm sorry, Amos.
Marcus, before we go, I just wanted
please.
to let you know one of the next segments of the program, the new program we've launched, the progressive update here on the channel, is going to be about white supremacy, the Proud Boys, etc., etc. And I'm very excited. We'll have a discussion about it.
Yeah, this is very cool, and I'm looking forward to what you have in mind there. All right, the good news, really, honestly, good news. Do you expect good news from the past week? Really, I did not found any, but I got Jimmy Dore, and Jimmy Dore was at the Convo Couch, and it's a very short thingy. It's not even half a minute, but it resumes everything. What's wrong? Please hit it.
Anyway, that's getting a little off the subject, but my whole point is, this is just wrestling. They both work for the same guys. Joe Biden wants to increase the military. Trump wants to increase the military. Joe Biden wants to increase the police. Fucking Trump wants to increase police. Joe Biden wants to deregulate Wall Street. Trump wants to deregulate Wall. If they're the same, nope, they don't. Trump doesn't want to give you health care. Biden doesn't want to give you health care. They both want to keep fracking going. But they both are against the Green New Deal. What the fuck?
Yeah.
He played the drinking game, didn't he? I can tell he's got a little bit of a buzz going on.
But he nailed it. He did not take nearly 30 seconds to nail it, and this is exactly what you guys have to face in 3 weeks. Yeah. Well, no good news, guys. Do you have anything to add before we go out?
Join me tonight in Oz for Beauty and the Boomer. We take a hilarious look at the odd stories of the week. So we get a little crazy and unwind. Join us.
Yeah, I heard Oz is preparing funny hair, right?
Oz wears a different wig every Saturday night. So you have to tune in. Last week was the 1680s, which was crazy. And every week is something new.
Amos?
What about?
No, do you have anything to add before we go out?
Unfortunately, there's nothing happy this week. What can I add?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you got something good. I don't know, man. Yeah. And Pat, thank you very much for being with us. Hope you will return. And do you have anything you wanna tell us before you go out?
Just great to see you guys. As far as the book goes, if you need a laugh, go to savageandpat.com for the book. Good news is this week is over and we're on to next week.
Yeah. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you to our audience for watching. And originally I had in mind to play a Cliff Barnes and the Fear of Winning song for today, to have the satire more promoted for the show. But reality, and so I decided to do satire. Oh, I'm sorry. We forgot this year. We forgot Amos' last hit. Sorry. Yeah. We can see a scene from The Godfather. We see Putin in it. And
we know Trump owes someone the 300 million. We just don't know whom, but you can imagine.
Yeah, pretty much the guy in the background is from the Deutsche Bank, but it's it. Yeah. All right, as I said, we're going out with a song, with a satire song. We got Weird Al Yankovic, and he's right. We are fucking all doomed. And see you next week. Have a good one. Bye bye.
We're all doomed! People are breathing out this living poison and trying to float into my orifices. I lost my car keys. I had to steal my neighbor's Segway to get here today. And on the way, I crashed in this dumpster. And these kids are making a video, and now I'm on TikTok. I can't. Excuse me. Yeah? Being not hysterical?
despite, things. Oh, I can do that. Dignified.
Gentlemen, welcome to the first presidential debate. Our first question in the key of G sharp minor is I'm so sorry. 2020's a raging hellscape. Any ideas on how to stop a worldwide plague?
We should be providing people the help they need. He knew back in February it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape acknowledging he knew.
Really?
He waited and waited and waited, and he didn't even tell you.
President Trump did a phenomenal job. People said that.
Well,
we got the gowns, we made the ventilators, we got the masks. I don't wear a mask like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. The biggest mask I've ever seen. The biggest mask I've ever seen.
Will we ever get back all the jobs we lost? Or should we set up 11 million Etsy shops?
My economic plan would create $1 trillion in economic growth. He has no intention of making it better for you all at home.
I brought back football. It was me.
What?
Big Ten football, and I'm very happy.
Who's it gonna be?
They want to take out the cows.
In the West Wing.
Now here's the deal. He has no idea what he's talking about.
We're living in the apocalypse. I'm begging you to put a stop to this, pretty please.
He said he could inject some bleach.
They cheat.
If the Supreme Court is truly supreme, where's the guac, ground beef, and sour cream?
The American people have a right to say who is the Supreme Court nominee.
Our biggest inducer from Notre Dame. We have a phenomenal nominee.
I ran out of questions, but still got a while. It's time to drop some bars. Let's see how you freestyle.
In Europe, they live their forest cities. They're called forest cities. It's a forest city.
He talks about the art of the deal. China's perfected the art of the steal.
Bad things happen in Philadelphia. Bad things.
He's just afraid of
Proud
election.
Boys, stand back and stand by.
He said there were very fine people on both sides. He said maybe we should drop a nuclear weapon on hurricanes.
The cars have computers all over the place.
Who's it gonna be?
They want to take out the cows.
In the West Wing.
Now here's the deal. He has no idea what he's talking about.
We're living in the apocalypse. I'm begging you to put a stop to this, pretty please.
Keep yapping, man.
The people understand.
He doesn't have a plan.
Exploding trees, COVID-19, hurricanes with names past the letter Z, conspiracy theories about vaccines, murder hornets coming from across the sea, too many memes about World War III, can't tell what's hell or reality, earthquakes ruining my whole week, cause I dropped my keys in the crack between the cup holder and my car seat. Who's it gonna be?
They want to take out the cows.
In the West Wing.
Now here's the deal. He has no idea what he's talking about.
We're living in the apocalypse. I'm begging you to put a stop to this, pretty please.
He said he could inject some bleach.
They cheat.
Who's it gonna be?
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? Keep yapping, man.
If you'll excuse me, the murder hornets come out at midnight, so I've got to go home and seal the door to my purge room. And I'll take this light breeze with me. Smell you later, dude! Ciao, baby!
Check out Weird